When I saw the Who's first New York appearance at the Murray Decay show. And they were opening up for Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels. And I was there with my friend. I was 15 or 16 years old. And when he threw his guitar 20 feet in the air and caught it and the smoke bomb went off, I said, this is the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen in my life. I want to do the same thing.
Ace Frehley's 1978 solo album is a high-voltage triumph, capturing the raw energy and virtuosity of the KISS lead guitarist. Frehley unleashes his signature guitar prowess across a spectrum of electrifying tracks, with standout hits like New York Groove and Rip It Out, showcasing his rock and roll swagger and infectious hooks. Blending hard rock intensity with catchy melodies, the album highlights Frehley's distinctive style and musical versatility. It's a dazzling solo effort that not only cements his status as a rock legend, but also delivers a thrilling experience for KISS fans and rock enthusiasts alike. Here's Ace Frehley featured in a 1978 radio interview promoting the release of the album.
I know Ace Frehley played a lot of parts on this album. Will you tell us about it?
I played lead guitar, rhythm guitar, acoustic guitar, synthesizer, and bass. I did all the lead vocals and half of the background vocals.
Who played drums?
A guy named Anton Fig, who's, as you heard, is pretty incredible.
What was it like to play 5 different instruments on the same song?
It's really funny. I like to say that when I've told people that I'm playing every instrument on the record just about, and doing all the vocals and some background vocals to my own voice. They say, wow, that must be really hard. The reality of the situation is that when you're playing against your own rhythm tracks, you know them better than anybody else does because you wrote them. And it's really, I find it a lot easier to play against my own recordings than playing against somebody else's because I know exactly what I did prior to the overdub.
But it's quite a feat just to master so many instruments. Isn't it difficult to change when you're so used to lead guitar?
Most accomplished guitar players that can play rhythm and lead can usually play bass without any problem. And I was in groups where I used to have to teach, the guy how to play bass. He couldn't figure it out, so I have to figure it out for him. So, I was always very well acquainted with bass guitar.
How do you think your fans will feel about this album?
I think it'll expand their views. I certainly think I've expanded my musical horizons just a little, on this record. I think it'll, I hope that, people say, wow, I didn't think he could do this or do that or could sing like that. Because, I did a lot of different things with my voice that I've never been able to do up until now. And, I also got a couple of interesting guitar sounds I've never, reproduced before on record. So I'm really happy with the way it turned out.
Did you set out to make an album that was very different from what you've done with KISS?
Well, I have a really big guitar collection and a big amplifier collection, all old amplifiers, dating back to the 40s and 50s. And, up until now, whenever we did KISS albums, a lot of times we were on a very hectic schedule, as you very well know, with touring and everything. And a lot of times we didn't have as much time as we wanted to do records, and especially guitar solos, It was always the kind of thing where, all right, come on, you got to do a solo. You have 8 hours to do it, or whatever. And that's the way we'd whip them out. But in this case of the solo albums, I took 2 months to record it. It was the kind of thing where I brought all my guitars and all my amplifiers to the studio. Sometimes we just spend the whole day on a guitar solo to get the right sound. And I think it shows.
Eddie Kramer has produced for KISS before. Was it any different working with him on your own?
I think it wasn't very different working with Eddie with KISS as it was with the solo album. It's just that I just saw another side of him and he saw another side of me. We worked a lot closer on this project than we did in the past because it was just me and Eddie. He didn't have to worry about 3 other guys. It was just me and Eddie basically and Anton. Anton supplied the percussion, and I supplied just about everything else. And it was just like the three of us went up to a mansion in Connecticut. We took it over, and we cut all the basic tracks up there. And it was really fun. It was just me and Eddie. We started with basic rhythm tracks, just rhythm guitar and drums, and then we started layering everything on top of it. I put the bass on. And then after we got all the basic tracks, we came down to Manhattan at Plaza Sound and did most of the guitar solos and the vocals and stuff, synthesizers. So it came out, basically we kept on schedule and everything turned out basically the way we wanted it to. So I really don't have any complaints about the record.
How do you feel about writing now that you've really gotten into it?
Well, for a while I was very dormant. I think, when the Alive 1 album hit, and I was, bogged down with traveling, and, I decided to get married, around that time. And there was so much going on in my life, my creativity kind of went down. And if you check the records, Destroyer or the one after that, I think I only wrote maybe one song on those albums. But this is probably the first project where I really came out of my shell, so to speak, and wrote all the songs except for one. And I think now that I've realized what my abilities are, I think I'll probably be doing a lot more in the future with KISS.
Then doing this album has brought out something that you never knew you had.
I'm sure each of the albums are going to bring out one side of all of us that none of us never knew we had. I think it's going to make us all better as one unit.
Shock Me is such an extraordinary tune. How did you feel when it became such a big success?
That was the first lead vocal. I'll never forget the first night when we did that tour, and the guy said, "You got to do Shock Me live." And I was really nervous. To get up in front of 20,000 people and sing lead, and I never had before. So. But I just tried not to think about it, and it just happened. It came natural.
Well, now you've really established yourself in just about every phase of rock and roll, don't you agree?
I would say I'm more confident now as a singer and guitar player than I've ever been in my life. Probably. A lot of the insecurities have gone away that I've had in the past.
It's hard to believe that anyone who has reached your degree of success could have felt insecure.
Everybody's insecure in their own. Well, see, I'm never satisfied with what I do. I'll say it's good, even I do some good guitar work, but I always want to strive for a higher level. A lot of times I can't. A lot of times playing live, all of us have to give up little musicianship for jumping up in the air and doing a flip or whatever. And it's I'm sure I could play more proficient live if I stood still and never had to do any choreography. But you give a little, and it's a give and take situation. It's like everything. You gotta give up something to gain something else.
How did you decide to become a professional musician?
Oh yeah, most of the English, the English rock invasion affected me in a very positive way. I really thought that they had it, had the right idea. Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, Peter Townsend was a big influence on me. When I saw the Who's first New York appearance at the Murray Decay show, and they were opening up for Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels, and I was there with my friend. I was 15 or 16 years old, and when he threw his guitar 20 feet in the air and caught it, and a smoke bomb went off, I said, "This is the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen in my life. I want to do the same thing."
I'll bet you never thought you would make it.
Oh, I really did. In fact, it was that point in my life where I was I'd always wanted to be a commercial artist. I designed the KISS logo, and I've designed other things for people. My specialty is logos. I'm into lettering and all that kind of stuff and layout work. And when I was around 16, there was a point in my life where I said, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to go to art school and really seriously become a commercial artist, or do I want to be a rock and roller? And after seeing, the Who live, they really made the decision. And it's pretty inspiring, that type of theatrics mixed with rock and roll always excited me the most. I mean, good rock and roll is good rock and roll, but when you can mix it with a theatrical show and make it that much more exciting, that's probably the whole, the whole thing that makes KISS work.
Is there any part of you that will always think like KISS?
Well, the answer to that is obvious. I mean, some of it has to rub off, even if you try to block it out of your mind. I mean, we're becoming an institution at this point. And, even subconsciously when I write material, sometimes it comes out, I'm a rock and roller, and KISS is rock and roll.